So I'm just showing you that I have the book. I have read the book. Because a lot of people do Sunday worship. What day you worship?
What day I worship?
Yeah.
I worship every day.
The people of Solomon and Gomorrah had beds erected in the streets of the city. It says in 2:1, it tells you that the angels went before God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Keep the Sabbath
Keep holy
day
the Sabbath.
holy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a commandment. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwelling. And the 14th day of the first month is the Lord's Passover. Right? We dealing with Bible. Excuse me. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Hey, so I know I'm supposed to get into the part 4 of this Apocalypse of Paul. However, I'm gonna go into some different things today. I'm still gonna do part 4, which is the last part of the sermon that we've been doing for the last 2 weeks. If you haven't caught up, go back. I labeled it part 1, 2, 3, and 4. But the name of this is Who's Really Fit to Teach, for a reason. Now, a lot of people get ordained by the theologian school, which is a school that give you the okay to preach the Bible. You know, they give you certain tests like the SAT, Constitution, whatever. But for a church, it's called a theologian school. So when you see your average preacher, you know what I mean, in a Sunday church, a lot of them went to a theologian school and got the okay to preach the word of God. When you don't need the okay, all you need is a Bible. You know, nobody gives you the authority to teach the word of God or not. So, I mean, it's good to have for some people. They need to see a certificate or a plaque to say that you are certified to teach the word. And I think a lot of people should at least have that, so I can know, okay, you have some form of knowledge of the Bible. You know, my plaque. And don't get me wrong. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm not a Catholic. As you can see, it's a Catholic Bible study. All right? I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a Baptist. I'm not a Muslim. But I have studied the Catholic Bible, the Quran, the Christian Bible, Israelite, you know, study Hebrew, Greek, you know, didn't really know much French, didn't know the Greek and some Hebrew, you know what I mean? But the thing is, a lot of people that's doing the teaching, they really don't even have books. And a lot of people say, well, you only need the Bible. Well, that's fine. And that's true. The Bible is the foundation for everything. I don't care if you got 65 million books. The Bible, it have to all refer back to the Bible. But a complete Bible, you know, because the Bibles are not all complete today. So you have Bibles with 66 books. Some Bibles, like the Catholic Bible, where I got the certificate, I believe they have 70, 72. Yeah, 72, I believe. They got Tobit, 1st, 2nd Maccabees, Judith, you know what I mean? But they don't put the Esdras in the 2nd Esdras, and I think they got Baruch, I believe. But anyway, 72, but still missing books. You need a complete Bible. So what I'm going to do today, because a lot of people feel because they have um, they've been chosen by the powers to be, the Pope, or the standards of a certain university to teach the Bible. That don't give you the authority to teach the Bible. Uh, Pick a Bible up, learn it. God will come to you. Sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather. God will come to you and He'll give you the words to say. As Christ said, when you're in the courtroom, don't worry about what to say. I'll be there with you. I'll give you the words to say. If you ever, taken by law enforcement or taken before a judge. So I will do the lesson before the week's out. And today is May 18th, 2025, according to the Gregorian calendar. It's May 2025. But we know in real life it's not really 2025. Something I can go over later, you know what I mean? Right now, I'm just going to show why do I think I should be qualified to teach. People say I shouldn't teach. Not people, but I was told I can't teach. Man, by a certain individual. But I believe that I should be able to teach because, I put the footwork in. A lot of people don't see your hard work. A lot of things in front of the camera is said, it's glorified under lights. You feel me? But in reality, what's going on behind closed doors? What do you really know? I'm going to say this. If anybody claims to be a prophet, run. A prophetess, run. There's no more prophets. No more prophets. So when they say Muhammad is a prophet, you can tell that whole religion, theory, throw that out the window. All right. Muhammad was no prophet. Christ was the last prophet. In order, what a prophet is, if y'all didn't know, it's someone who prophesied. Prophesied from who? From who? God. Ahaya. The God of Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob. Because a lot of people don't like to call him name. Everybody got their own name. One thing we do know is he's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So if you don't want to call him a certain name, that's fine. Call him the God of Abraham. We know who that God is. Isaac and Jacob. We know it's only one God that ruled them. So we can go with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob instead of saying, "Oh, his name is Yahweh. His name is Allah. His name is Jehovah. Yahweh. Instead of saying all that, just say the God of Abraham, and that's clear of who we talking about, because there's many gods, and we understand that Satan is a god, angels are God, planets are fallen gods, stars, which is watchers, they are gods. We understand that, and I'm gonna make this lesson. It's not really a lesson. It's not really a lesson. I'm just gonna show y'all a little library that I possess. A lot of y'all buy Jordans, new cars. I buy books. So we're gonna go through. I'm just gonna scan through a few of my books that I study, that I teach out of, and we'll pretty much go from there. This here is the 1611 King James Bible. Now, with this book here, there's certain letters that's not in here. Because it's only 23 alphabets in here. Like the letter J and things in that order is not in here. It's a 1611. Because we know Hebrew was only written with 22 alphabets, and J and U not being one of them. I'm going crazy. I don't know if I can do this right here. Let's try to get through it. Look, King James. It's just one of the many Bibles that I can go into. But the 1611, which means it was written in 1611. So if a Bible was written in 1611 with 82 books, why 300 years later, there's only 66 books? Use your head. If a Bible was published in the 1600s Well, 82 books. 300 years later is 66 books. It don't take a rocket science to say that, well, why is you taking books out? Who decides what book stays and what book, get removed? Okay. Can you see this? What do that say? The Holy Scriptures. When Christ taught in the New Testament, he say the law and the prophets or the Holy Scriptures. The Bible is not called the Bible. The Bible is called the law and the prophets or the Holy Scriptures. You're going to learn the little things today. You're going to learn some things. We call it the Bible, which people say basic instruction before leaving earth. That's something that's been made up, or, you can go with that theory, to fit your narrative. But the Bible don't exist. It's called the law and the prophets or the Holy Scriptures. Not going to see a lot of people with the Holy Scriptures. That's what it's really. This is original book with the Holy Scriptures, right? And what it does, it don't have the New Testament in it. It don't. It has, going to the book of 2nd Chronicles, this here, it's a Bible dictionary. Has everything about everything. Have pictures. It got the whole timeline of Christ. This book here, and you can pay this $5 if you have certain pictures of real life things and in life, like Egypt, certain tombs, and different things. It have pictures and everything in there. So you might want to get this Bible. It's some things been changed and as far as the God name, but it's showing you a lot of places and artifacts that and in this, like if you look up and go and say you want to look up somebody like, let's just say for instance, if you want to go through doctrine or something, it tells you doctrine, the basic body of Christian teaching or understanding. Then it'll tell you 2 Timothy 3:16. You know what I'm saying? And it gives you different scriptures. So I kind of like it because if you're looking for something, it'll try to give you, certain aspects on this. Like this here. This here is like King Solomon and King David. They showing you how it looked at. They giving you the layout. So this is a Bible dictionary. It's pretty good. I like it. Kind of give you a little bit of everything that you're looking for. Real pictures, So I'm just going through some things. What do we have here? The Tanakh. What is that? Hebrew. When you read into Tanakh, the Tanakh is read from back to front. So however read a book like this here, on the Tanakh, you turn it around and read it from the back page on up. And that's how you do with the Tanakh. So you're dealing with the Tanakh, as you can see in the back of the book. I'm going to show you. It will give you the book of Genesis. And on one side, Hebrew, and on the other side, English. Let me try to, so you can really see this. On one side, Hebrew, on the other side, English. As you can see, the book of Genesis. You see it? Hebrew, English. Not from front to back, but back to front. Tanakh. So kind of teach you how to read. This here is another different Bible. This here closest to the King James Bible. This is one that I used a lot. This have all 82 books in it. All 82 books in here. They even have the letter of Manasseh and the letter of Jeremiah. And I've been in, this is pretty Pretty good book. This was published, I believe, in 1976. So it wasn't. It's before a lot of things got misconstrued. So this here, I still deal with the King James Bible, but this here is not a bad Bible. And I know they like, well, who is you to decide what's good and what's not? A Bible's a Bible. No, a Bible's not a Bible. A lot of things been changed. And of course, this here is like, this got the book of Tobit. Let me see. Let me look through here. So you got the book of Tobit. You got the first and second Maccabees. You know what? This might not be bad. This is Sirach. So this here's the Apocrypha. Okay. Sirach. Okay. Let's get it. The Wisdom of Solomon. Oh, they got some new stuff in here. See, they got some estimate of Jeremy, the Wisdom of Solomon. I might need to look through this a little more. Because I knew it was the Apocrypha, and I read the Apocrypha, but it's called the Prayer of Manasseh. See what I'm saying right here? You see right here where I say the Prayer of Manasseh? Let me try to make sure I can let y'all see it right here. The Prayer of Manasseh. Them some of the missing books. What do you mean the Prayer of Manasseh? What did Manasseh do in the Book of Kings? He was sacrificing children, putting them in fire, sacrificing them to Satan, to Baal. Now we know that Ahab, we know Jeroboam made the people sin. We understand that Jeroboam made the people sin. He didn't, because God turned over the kingdom from Solomon, because Solomon started making these false gods for his 700 wives that he had, that God told him not to mess with them because they'll turn you away from me. So what ended up happening was, after God came to him twice and he disobeyed him, he turned the kingdom over to Jeroboam. Now Jeroboam, we know that Solomon had a son, and Jeroboam was scared that the people would worship under Solomon, because Solomon only left one tribe out the 12. One. Jeroboam had the rest, and they gave Jeroboam Israel, and Solomon's son had Judah. And Jeroboam made the people stay and worship idol, so they won't be going down there to Jerusalem to pray, do their prayer. So from Jeroboam went, as it goes down the line, not like right after, but we talking about years down the line, you got Ahab, which was Jezebel's husband. And we know the story of Jezebel, that's something I want to get into later. I want to read some more on Jezebel. I'm waiting on this book to come, the Kings of Israel. When you read the book of Kings, it tell you the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel and the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah. It gives you more details, because when you read the book of Kings, it gives you more of David, some Solomon, Saul, which was the first king, with Samuel anointed, that God told him to anoint. And then from there, it gives you stories about certain kings. But it don't give you the full story of it, just a little snippet. And it says if you want to find the rest of the books about this king, you need to go on the books of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel. So when you go on that book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel, now you have a full book. It's a whole Bible dedicated to the kings. So now you'll get their full stories, some things that the Bible is just an overview. The Bible just tell you, look, this is the main things. He did this, he did this, he did that. But if you want to find little details, one day he was laying on a beach, and he seen two guys coming, and you'll get the little stuff like that in the other books. The Bible ain't got time for that. We got too much to cover. So let's just give you the main thing. He was a king. He ruled 30 countries. He sinned before the Lord. He was, that's kind of what. So what after Ahab, he started, instead of statues, worshiping to Satan. Instead, like really worshiping to Satan. And he made God mad. Then when you move down to Manasseh, he took the children, your babies, and threw them in fire. You know how you sacrifice to the Lord? You'll take a lamb or whatever, and you burn it, and you sacrifice to the Lord. He was taking real children, babies, throw them in the fire. And man, that God was, infuriated. And we know that Joseph, which was Jacob, youngest son at the time. And then Benjamin was through Rachel, who died after having Benjamin, which was the last of the Jacob original children. We know Joseph went to Egypt and he became king. That he was given a wife, and he had two sons, which was Ephraim and Manasseh. Now, this is not the Manasseh straight from Joseph loins, but the name Manasseh. You know what I mean? That's they kind of recycle names. Back then. It was just like today. 1,000 Tims, 1,000 Mars, Susie's, John, Tiffany's. So after doing that, the Bible don't really give you much on it. They just saying he made God very angry because he's burning children. And so this kind of a prayer to where he repented. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. That's what I say. Y'all need the missing books. Because you'll never know this. You'll be like, oh, he was bogus. No, he repented. He repented. So yeah, this is the Apocrypha. Y'all with me so far? Just getting started, baby. This is another book that I haven't read. I read something, but it's kind of like a little Bible study. You know what I mean? Some type of Bible study book. And I was reading it. It has some things in it, but it's more of a person. It's not scriptures. It's more like you'll read the scripture, then you'll talk about it. More of that. This here's another Bible, Holy Bible. Another Holy Bible. And you got my man's, the Quran. Yes, the Quran. And it, it's a Quran. Yes, I read the Quran. A lot of disturbing things in there. Still a lot of scriptures from the Bible. But if you know the Bible and you read the Quran, you're going to know this is straight crap. Because which one was there first? The Bible or the Quran? Of course. We know that Muhammad wrote the Quran. We know that Muhammad was supposed to been a prophet by, he said, the angel Uriel came to him, I believe, and in the cave, which nobody can verify, and he's supposed to do the mission of God. But it's a lot of things in there. They kind of badmouth the Bible a lot. Well, the Christians do this, and that's hearsay. Stay away from the Quran. It's a good book to teach you about life, what to do and not to do. It's good structure. That's why when you see the Nation of Islam, and you see a lot of the Arab, the women, they cover their hair. They submissive. The Muslim can have 3-4 wives. It's in they, but they got some scriptures in there that they made up. That's, you be like, what? Excuse me? A lot of things in there. Like if you haven't read the Bible, it'll throw you off. They say a lot of things about Abraham when he went down to Mecca. Abraham never went to Mecca. All right, the Bible says nothing about that. This is the rock that never happens. All right. But anyway, the Illuminati. Yes. See, when you're dealing with religion, when you're dealing with the Bible, you also have to deal with politics, because politics always been part. I'm gonna put this to a side because I need to read up on this some more. But anytime you're dealing with the Bible, you have to deal with politics, because again, as I said before, Christ dealt with politics. Moses, where Pharaoh dealt with politics. David, when he was running from Saul. Remember, all these kingdoms, with Nebuchadnezzar and, Sennacherib, all these King Herod. All that was Caesar's, Pilate. That was politics. That's wrong. So how can you not deal with politics today when they were dealing with politics back then? So if you start saying things like Illuminati, it'll all start making sense. When you're dealing with the presidential election, all that ties into the Bible. All that ties into the Bible. You be like, well, that's politics, religion. No, it goes together, because that kind of dictates the outcome of how things going. When you start doing things like Mark of the Beast, that will come from government, from politics, you know what I'm saying, onto the people. Y'all not ready for this, bro. You're not ready. This here, the Recovery Bible, you know. Okay. Transparent. Okay, I like that. So this here, that's weird. Is the Life Recovery Transparent Bible. All right. I like that. This is the Bible that when I got locked up for committing adultery, I was looking for a Bible. This is the Bible that I was given. It's called the Recovery Bible, and it kind of explains things in today's term. You know, instead of thee, thy, they, it tell you he, she, me. You know what I mean? So you know it explains to you a lot. Like if you're not Bible savage, you will read that and it's just plain and simple. Do not do that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of thee, they, thou, do not do that. It'll just plain English. That's a good but there's some things in there that's not there. You know, like when you go to the Exodus, it tells you me God, Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. The Bible don't say that. The Bible don't say Yahweh. That kind of put that in there. When you go to the books of Acts, it said that that Christ talked to Paul, and it was in Arabian. No, Christ spoke Hebrew. Now he can speak Arabian, but Paul was a Israelite. If Christ spoke Arabian, and if he had been speaking to Paul, then Paul would have been from the tribe of Benjamin. Benjamin is Jacob, part of the 12 tribes of Israel. Paul is from the tribe of Benjamin. I'm from the tribe of Judah. I don't know French. I don't know Spanish. You know what I mean? Because my bloodline, it don't fit that that language. You know what I mean? So if you have a child, whether you white, black, green, or blue, whatever language you speak, that child will speak. So why would Christ be talking to Paul and Arabian? Arabian is Ishmael. That's Ishmael. That's Abraham's first son that got sent off. That's the in charge of the Arabs. That's why God told Abraham, "Yeah, I bless Ishmael, but Isaac is the promised seed." You know, that's why when you go out there and you see the Arabs, they filthy rich because they are blessed. You know, although they dealing with Allah and all, they hate the Christians and things of that matter. God did say He'll bless them, so they are blessed. But Christ won't be speaking to Paul in Arabian. So when you read this here, and I believe that's Acts 26 and 11, read Acts 26 and 11 through 13, it tells you, you know what I'm saying, that, and I heard a language in Arabian. No, you didn't. You heard it in Hebrew. So, no, that's just, that's why I say get the King James, because it's original. This here's a good book, The Deceiver. The Deceiver. You know what I'm saying? And who is the deceiver? I don't have to tell you that. This here is a great book. The Black Church Mafia. What the Black Church Mafia deals with is the church that you go to today. You know, how all these mega churches, how they have to go down to India and have to go to all these different rituals, in order for them to get you see these mega churches and they all blessed. It's not through the grace of God that is being blessed. It's certain rituals. They gotta kill a pig and put the pig blood on it. They gotta lay in a dark ditch, and they gotta split their wrist in 6 different spots, and they gotta put a dead chicken and they unearned pit and lay in blood for 2 days. I'm talking about, this is a guy who wanted his church to grow so bad, you know what I mean? He got to talking to a lot of evangelists and different fake prophets that was driving pretty good. They, and it kind of tells you the ins and outs of what these churches do, how all this miracle money and this miracle or anything you see, if it say miracles run, there is no miracle in none of that. You know, that's a good book. You might want to order that book because it's a true story. And you know, the guy, which is this guy right here, is telling you his story. You know, so it's a good book. I actually got like about 3 more pages left. You know what I'm saying? But I pretty much read the whole book, and it's a pretty good book. And I'm gonna tell you something. You know, I'm a DJ, but these books, when I'm reading these books, I'm talking about it makes you just want to do the will of God much more than anything else. You know, that's something that I like doing, enjoy doing, and is, you know, I'm a man that like knowledge. You know, people are destroyed for lacking their knowledge. I like knowledge. I need to know what's going on, what happened, what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? I'm not out here just worried about what's going on right now. I need to know what happened then and what's happening now and what's going to happen moving forward. You know, and if you want to have something from a black man, put it in the book. The gods of Edom. What do you mean? Oh yeah, the gods of Eden. What is that? What you think it is. It's more than one God, as I told you earlier. You know, like I say, anything I tell you about, you know, I can go on certain books and I can support different things, you know. So far y'all with me, right? You know, so far, thanks. The Hebrews of West Africa. Great book. Great book. I haven't read it yet, but no details of the book. I haven't got around to it. I got a lot of books, but it's one of the books that I'm planning on getting to. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a Hebrewism of West Africa, and you know, a lot of things changed from back then to now. You know, dealing with these different, you know, books or whatever. You want to kind of. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, when you talk about teaching the Bible, it's so much out there. For what I haven't, listen to me. I haven't even got started. I've been doing this for the last 15 minutes. I got a lot of more books. So when you just teaching that Christ died and rose in 3 days, it's a lot more out there. It's a lot more out there, you know. Well, if it ain't in the Bible, listen to me, all this come together. That's why I say read the Bible first. So when you read one of these books, you be like, nah, this ain't no good. I'm not going to. But then you see something that corresponds with what the Bible saying. It's just more information. The book of Jubilees. What is the book of Jubilees? The book of Jubilees is mini Genesis. It tells you certain things. It's, you know, reading that book, it tells you why God wanted Abraham to go to the land of Canaan. It tells you how the promised land became Abraham's. You know, that follows up going back to Noah. You know, it tells you a lot of different things in there. How I believe the head count of man is 220. You're like, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, when God created life, He created 220 head counts. So you got 220 head counts, and out these 220, all life will be spread through that. In so many words. So you like, let's say you got Robert Horry from the Houston Rockets. Under his head count will be who? Maybe somebody like a Will Smith. You understand what I mean? What people tell me, they say, man, bro, you look like R. Kelly. Then I would be under R. Kelly head count. Or the dude I paid him for, Ace Boogie, I paid him for. I kind of fit that head count. You understand what I'm saying? I think I spoke about this before. When you can look at this, Steve Harvey, Oprah, when they was doing their show on the Family Feud, it was a man looked just like Steve Harvey, like identical. And Oprah too. You know what I'm saying? There's a lady in the audience, and Oprah kept looking at her like, she kept staring at her, and she looked identical like Oprah. They will be under the same head count. You have a head count too. You know, I'm sure you say like, man, you know what? You remind me of my cousin. You look just like my cousin, man. Like, is your mama this? No. It's called the head count. That will be in the book of Jubilees. It tells you certain things that'll make sense. You be like, you know what? now it's making sense. Jubilees is a good book. I don't want to get in front of it because I had two of these, so we talked about this one already. The Epistle of the Romans. And we understand who the Romans is. We know the Romans kind of, even to today, runs everything. Everything runs through Rome. The whole world runs through Rome. Rome is the center point. So Rome is the one that's calling the shots over America, over Africa, whatever. It goes through Rome. Esau, which is what they call the white man rules. So the Testament of Abraham. So I know when I did my last lesson, I was saying something about, this here is right here. The Testament of Abraham, right here. So I said it's the Apocrypha of Abraham, but it's the Testament of Abraham. When I was saying that, even in the book of Testament of Abraham, where the angels go down and at sunset they pray to God, it would tell you in this book here. And of course, it's the book of the giants. The books of the giants. They give you some more details about the Nephilims that came down, slept with the women. Came down, slept with the women, and they was, they was punished for that reason there. And we know two sets of angels fell. We know Lucifer fell in the beginning, and then we know the other angels fell and slept with the women and born children. So that portion will be talking about that set of angels that slept with the women, and the women became mermaids, sirens, which the book of Enoch tell you about. So like mermaids, yeah, that's where you get the word mermaids from. The women that slept with the angels and they born giants, which is why God had to flood the earth. God turned up to mermaids. So that's where you get your mermaids from. You can read that back in the book of Enoch. You can even go on YouTube and look up mermaid sightings. There's a lot of real sightings that seen mermaids. So when you see stuff like the little mermaids and these little pretty women with long red hair and they beautiful. Now they don't look nothing like that. They look like Medusa, and they stink because they fish. Fish stinks, and I heard they hypnotize you with their voice, and then drown you underwater. You know what I mean? Kept from the mermaids. They tell you something about View of the Hebrews of 1825. View of the Hebrews of what Hebrew was like, back in 1825 on to now. So when you see a lot of these stuff talking about Hebrews and this and that, it's not a lot of things about Christian. Now, we know who the first Christian was. They were the disciples. They was Paul and Barnabas, and they went out to Antioch. When it tell you about that in the book of Acts, that the disciples, the apostles, was the first Christians. Christ was not a Christian. I'm going to say it again. Christ was not a Christian. All right? And Christ was crucified in the gospel, right? In the book of Acts, in the beginning of the book of Acts, that's when Christ came and he went to the disciples and he like, what y'all sit around for? Go do what I told you. And the angels say, the same way you see him leave, it's the same way he come back on a cloud. But this time he come back for judgment. So that was in the beginning of the book of Acts, right? Then we dealt with Peter, and Peter had to go to Cornelius, which was a white man or a Greek, and he was allowed, God opened up the heavens for everybody that would praise him. You understand? Then, in the second half of the book of Acts, that's where you get Saul, who later became Paul. And now, they looking to seek to kill Saul or Paul because they feel he's a traitor. You killing people for speaking the word of Christ. Now you preaching the word of Christ? Get them up out of here, right? And so when they went to Antioch, they were going to. When you read the Bible, when you read Hebrews, when you read Corinthians, when you read the Romans and things like that, them all the places, the Ephesians, the Philippines, that's all the places that Paul went to go teach. And when he went to jail, he wrote each one of them a letter. Just in case y'all didn't know. So when you read the book, after you read the book of Acts, when you start, that's kind of, we know Luke wrote Acts and he wrote the book of Luke, you know what I'm saying? And he knew Paul and Peter. And so after he dealt with that, then you start going from what? What's after the book of Acts would be I'm getting old, y'all. After Acts, I believe. Let me check it out. Should it be Romans, right? No, Romans the second one. So I gotta get back into my studies, baby. After John, after Acts. Yeah, Romans. Okay, all right. Romans. Okay. So it be there, but you know what I mean? Yeah, I said Romans. Yeah. So you got Romans. Then he visit Rome. Then you got Corinthians, right? And then after Corinthians, you got the Galatians, right? And then after Galatians, then you got the Ephesians. Then, you know what I'm saying, you got the Theologians. You know what I mean? And, you know, we know Timothy just was, Timothy was a Greek. Timothy was not a Hebrew. He was not black, but he was a Greek, you know. And so, you got the Hebrews. And then, like I said, you got the Colossians. All them places that I just named are places that Paul went to go teach at. So that's why he's naming it after the places that he visit. And them letters, them only letters, he's talking to them. But in the book of Acts, he showed you that he went here, he went there, he went there, he went there. But then now he's in jail, and so now he's writing the letters. That's all that is. That's to kill it in a short. The book of Jasher. These books have a lot of details. Let me tell you something. This is one of the best books, and this kind of dealing on from Adam on down to Joshua. So I read it twice. From Adam to Joshua is pretty much the book of Jasher. To give you more details, it tells you about what happens when the people want to get on the ark. How they try to break in the ark. How God sent the animals and then sent the shot. So it tells you about Zeppo, which is Esau's grandson. You know what I'm saying? How he fought this beast who had 4 legs and a human body. You know how you ever seen that a statue and it's a man with an arrow, but his body looked like a lion? Oh, that was real. And Zeppo killed him. And that's how Zeppo became of Italy. You know what I mean? It was called Italia. You know what I mean? But, he killed that beast who was killing everybody, sheep, they animals, and eating them. They flock. Everybody scared of this beast, and he came over there, and he a man of war. And he killed him. We know Zeppo was taken hostage by who? Joseph, when a war broke out between Esau and Jacob's children, because they didn't want to cough over the land. You know what I'm saying? That Abraham bought a cave, and that's where Abraham and Isaac was buried. And so now Jacob is fighting, some type of war, because that kind of different from the book of Jubilees. They got 2 different narratives, but Jasher is a book of account of a history book. You know what I mean? In that order. But I'm just saying, Zeppo was supposed to be caught, and he was in prison until Joseph died. And when Joseph died, he escaped. You know what I mean? And when he escaped, you know what I'm saying, he flew out to him, and some of his men went out to Italy and different places and wanted to go back and fight against the children of Israel, but then nobody want them problems. So that's Zeppo. And we know that Zeppo, we know that Zeppo, when he was, army came against him, then he didn't get no aid and assist. So one of the guys say, ain't you the descendant of Abraham? He like, yeah. Pray to their God. They God always come through for them. And although Zeppo is a Edomite, which means white, he prayed to God, and God came through for him and destroyed the army that he was fighting. And what do Zeppo do? What should you do? You should give God praises, right? He didn't do that. He did everything but that. He thought it was him, and he kind of boasted about it. He didn't give God no glory. And on the next battle, he was defeated, Jasher is a good book. Very good book. Again, the religion instruction of the Negroes of the United States. Charles Cocott Jones. You know, not sure what that's about, but it's a small book. Shouldn't take me no more than probably a day to read it. So I'm gonna these books that I'm going to get through, and all like I say, it's a lot of history in these books. You know, everything don't have to be scriptures or biblical, but it all ties in into the Bible. You know what I'm saying? One way or the other. Look at this here. What do I have here? The Talmud Unmasked. What is these people? They hate Christ. They have their own teaching, their own religions. You know what I mean? You want to read the Talmud Unmasked. I read half of it, and a lot of this stuff I forgot. I just got to go with my notes, but I know it's pretty much dealing with, I want to say, the Chinese and how the Chinese or Japanese, how they got their own religion, how they hate Christ, you know, how they laws, they will have to abide by their laws over the Bible laws. You know what I mean? They have their own set of rules, and that comes before the Bible. You know what I mean? That trumps everything. You know, I got two of them, but I want to finish reading. It's a small book too. See these little small books here? You know, you just going through that. It's a lot of information in it. You know what I mean? And that can take you a long way. You know what I mean? Another Bible. You know. Let me give you the history on this. So I'm in jail, right? White boy come through there. I'm like, man, I like that Bible. You know, I'm talking about the word small. I couldn't even see it. Very small. I'm like, but you know, it's a King James. I'm talking about the words are extremely small. Look at this. Extremely small. I can't see this. I'm looking like, but I was like, man, you know what? Let me get that Bible. No, man, that Bible mean a lot to me, man. He say this preacher that I've been with for a long time, he gave me that Bible, man. So I kind of cherish it. I said, come on, man, just give me the Bible. You really don't do nothing with it. Sorry, bro, I can't do it. I said, I give you a bag of chips. Man, listen to me. When I tell you, that man snatched the chips out of my hand so fast it cut my wrist, and he put the Bible inside my shirt and hurry up and ran to the washroom and ate the chips. No joke. I'm like, wow. Like really, I give you, and the chips $1.56. That's what the chip costs. $1.56 is about this big. That man hurry up and put that thing in my shirt and snatched the chips and ran in the washroom. I had a little cut. I'm like, man, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Preaching my butt. On the Path to the Immortals. Something I'm meaning to read, never got around to it. This is another book I want to read. On the Path to the Immortals. Great book. I heard about it. I want to read more on it. I forgot what made me get that book, but a book that I'm definitely going to read. The 13 Tribes. 13 Tribes. What you mean 13? It's only 12. Well, Dan was removed. So Dan is not part of the 12 tribes of Israel. Dan was removed for doing witchcraft. So the 12 tribes of Israel doesn't include Dan in today. So by Dan being removed, I'm assuming they're going back into Dan. I want to read more up on this because Dan was bogus. He did some things, and I know he did witchcraft, which God said leave medium witchcraft and all that. That wasn't gonna be associated with Israel. We know the 24 elders is the 12 disciples and the 12 tribes of Israel, and can't none of that funny business be going on. You know what I'm saying? If you been ordained by God Himself, you know what I'm saying. So the 13th tribe, I want to read before I speak on it. I want to read more into that. But for what my knowledge I know Dan was removed from the original 12. Manasseh, remember I told you about Manasseh and Ephraim? Joseph was given a wife in Egypt when he became king, and he had children. Well, them children is not part of Jacob's original seed. They are the children of Joseph. Okay, Joseph had two. So that leaves you with 10. We know that the Levites, they don't have an inheritance because they the priesthood of God. So we know that Dan been removed and Ephraim and Manasseh being added, was made 12. Joseph was already in Egypt. So, you know, it's tricky because Joseph
It's
was
12
already
o'clock.
Joseph was already in Egypt, and then Manasseh and Ephraim was added, and Dan was removed. So I want to read more on that, and again, I love knowledge. I love knowledge, you know, but from what I know, that's the short of it. What we doing, man? The ancient, the ancient wisdom of Egypt, great book. Going into some Egypt stuff. Hey, here's some things that I found. It's so crazy. I just opened it right up. It's a curses and it's a tombs and curses. Man, I'm gonna just give you a snip on that. You know the mummies that they had in Egypt? The mummies? A lot of them was buried alive. From what I hear, a lot of if you have a guy that was wealthy in Egypt, and he had a lot of people following him. He had like I guess slaves or whatever. He had 20 slaves. Let's say I'm rich. You know, everybody owned slaves back then, so I'm rich, and I have 20 slaves. And then when I die, the slaves that work for me will be mummified alive. Alive. Egypt was, that's why you think God came. It was a lot of things they were doing in Egypt. When you read the book of Jasher, it'll tell you how if you short straw on the brick, they'll take your newborn baby, 2-3 weeks year old, and use it. Put it in the wall, and you gotta slap the little paste over there and keep building a lot of them buildings was built with children inside there. To this day. God wasn't going for that. But now I'm hearing some stuff about the children being the people being mummified alive in Egypt. Tomb and curses. What that was. Let me read this here. Let me put this up here. The 10 tribes of Israel. What you mean 10? You just said 13. I did. I told you Dan was removed, and I told you Manasseh and Ephraim was added. So when you say 10, it was originally should have been 12. Originally 12. When you say 10, 10 is, see, it was 10 before it was 12. So this is the original 10. This had to be before Joseph went to Egypt. And when you say the 10, so I know Jacob had 10 children, right? You got, I should say this off the top of my head. 1, 2, yeah, Levi 3, Judah 4, Yoha 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so it was 10, right? So yeah, and then even so then Dan was removed. So right, so you got this here. Where that book at? Let me show you. Okay, so the short of it is you got the 10 tribes, right? Let me show you. I like to, some of my notes. I got some heavy stuff in here that I want to speak on, but is it a crime? So, not this one here. Let's go here. This stuff is not. A lot of people want to get out here and teach, man. This stuff is bigger than any world. I ain't don't even lie to you. A lot of this stuff is bigger than Nino Brown. You got holy days versus holidays. I got the 10 Commandments, the 12 tribes of Israel tribe. Okay, so let's do this. And again, some of my notes that I've been writing. So you got Reuben, you got Simeon, you got Levi, you got Judah, you got Dan, which was removed. That's 5. You got Naphtali, you got Gad, you got Asher, you got Issachar, Zebulun, and Joseph. Okay, so let's do it like this. So Reuben's 1, Simeon 2, Levi 3, Judah 4, Dan 5, Naphtali 6, Gad 7, Asher 8, Issachar 9, Zebulun 10, Joseph 11, Benjamin 12. Right? Listen, that's 12. So we know Jacob had 12 children. That's his original children. After Joseph, Benjamin, right? Who you going to remove? Dan. Why? Because Dan was committing witchcraft. So now that leaves you with 11. So when you remove it, you remove Levi. Levi can't have an inheritance because they the priesthood. Priests, they do the work for God. There's no inheritance to that. So that leaves you with 10. Then you add Joseph 2 children, Ephraim and Manasseh. That's 12. Y'all with me? If you don't, I'm gonna say it quick. You got Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. That's 12. Remove Dan. He got kicked out. You doing witchcraft. That New Orleans stuff. That's why he brought Katrina in New Orleans. It's too much going on. He brought that hurricane now. The worst up to this day. That was a plague that they went through, and you don't even know that. You thinking, oh, it's just a hurricane. No, it's a plague that was brought to New Orleans, the home of the witchcraft. There's too much going on now. God put a judgment on that early. You living through that prophecy now. So you be like, oh, okay, you don't understand that. So you remove Dan, that's 11, and you remove Levi, that's 10. And when you add later, Ephraim and Manasseh, that's 12. That's how you get the 10 tribes of Israel. You're going to teach, man. You're going to teach, you better teach. Man, this stuff is sticky. I'm about to pass on this. This ain't nothing but just some stuff that you can just study through. It's a lot of, different. It's a chart in here that, some stuff that I've been looking through. It's some stuff that refers to the Bible, but it's not biblical. It's more of culture of today. This here's nice. This here tell you a lot of things. The Hawaii iniquities. Get this book. This one here, it tells you about what the Hawaii iniquities. It pretty much. I read some of it, not much of it. I think I got 2 of these too. It pretty much deals with the mother of Hawaii and dedication. Okay, it's kind of give you the generation. Okay, I remember now. Names given directly to the point of the companies. Turns you to trust national. Plants and trees, division of ocean, eating under the kappa system. It's kind of, okay. It's telling you pretty much. I need to. A little sticky here. I'm gonna need to wipe this a little bit. It kind of tells you about some of the Hebrews coming over into the land here and now. It's kind of giving you a chart on when certain people came to that land, time frame, time stamps. It gives you things in that matter to kind of correspond with like what that some of the people was spread out through the 4 corners of the earth. It got some more things in there, but I know that's why I bought it. The New Testament basic for Catholics. So we know we're dealing with Catholics. They got their own thing, their own religion. I like to have it. I might not read it, but this here, the Roman Empire, of the Edomites. The Roman Edomites. Who was Edomites? Who I said Edomites was? White people. They ruled the world. Politics, Roman, Edomites, white man. Yes. All this ties into religion. You better know what's going on. Inventing the Flat Earth. Another book that I'm gonna run through real quick. It just, tells you some things, some Christopher Columbus, and I don't know, it's just a book that, I read just to read. This here. Now, This here Apocalypse of Paul is not the this. I thought this was the one I was looking for. This is not the one I was looking for. The one I was looking for was this one, the Apocalypse of Paul here. I had bought this one 2 years ago, thinking this was it, and this not it. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't know. I can kind of. I think this is her, somebody narrating it. You know, Flores tells a story. So this is not prophecy. This blue book here is what the lesson that I'm actually doing. This is the lesson from 2 Chronicles 12:1. Flora, I don't know what Flora talking about. I don't know what Flora talking about. Y'all, it's crazy. Samuel. I'm gonna read some more of this here, but this here is written in Hebrew. Okay, so this is the book of Samuel written in Hebrew and English. And come up and down and having a piece of the silver and have. Yeah, so I read this, shall not old man be house forever. Yeah, it will cut off every man and thong. So this is just the book of Samuel, and it's in Hebrew and English. That's all. Samuel, which you can read in the book of Kings. I read this whole book. I might look through it and see some things, but I read that. This here is, what's the name of this here? Yahweh. The Jewish Quarterly Review. Okay, this is the Jewish Quarterly Review. It's only about 9 pages. It's about 9 pages, maybe 10 pages, real small. I can go and knock this out, see what they talking about. Any book that I got for a reason. I got so many books I can't remember. But Satan's angels exposed. Who are Satan's angels? You. Y'all don't praise God. This here, we talked about this. The Talmud unmasked. So a lot of these stuff, I had 2 of them. One of them got 80 pages, the other one got 60 pages. I got both of them. Jews in the time of Christ. I was reading this before I got locked up. I need to finish that, so I'm going to put that over there. You know. Enoch, the original. Read it. The prophets and kings. Read it. It's all that is when you read the Bible and you go to 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, 1st, 2nd Samuel. That's all it is. It's that. So if you read the Bible, you pretty much read that. Yes. The 2 Babylons. The worship of Nimrod and his wife. Great book. You know what? I don't know why I keep playing with this. I should have been did this. Who is that? The worship of the Sacred Heart. Tell you about religious ceremonies. Easter, Christmas, the Great Red Dragon, the 2 developed Babylon, the name of the beast. Put this up. Let's do that. I like that one. Man, I love these books, man. Man. The Lost Tribes and the Promised Land. Who are the Lost Tribes? What's the Promised Land? So when the person say tribe, you be like, tribe? I ain't for no tribe. When you tell me that, I already know you don't know nothing about the Bible. I'm done talking to you. Yes, everybody has a tribe. Esau, you know, he part of the dukes and the chiefs. Jacob, you know what I'm saying? Kings. Ishmael were princes. You know, the Bible, the book of Genesis tell you this. But you don't read the Bible. Oh no, you do. You start from the New Testament. The Old Testament, we done away with the law. So nothing that happened is important now. Christ shall come in the volume of the book, new and old. We ain't gonna do this. From Babylon to Timbuktu. What is Babylon? America. Y'all better listen, man. Y'all, hey, listen to me. Oh yeah, we still going. What you thought? What is this here? The Illuminati Scripture Journal. It's another book on the Illuminati. And it's telling you a lot of stuff about the Illuminati. Yep. Cure for all diseases. Cure for all diseases. When God made the earth, it tells you in Revelations 22:2. I think I did to go on my YouTube page, and I did look at my title, Revelations 22:2. It tells you there's a cure for everything. When I say the flowers, the trees, the leaves, all that, there's a cure for everything. There's a cure for everything. For all, not some, not most, not a few. All diseases. All that stuff is biblical. Everything that you do, politics, the earth, everything is dealing with God. The epic of Gizman. Who is that? Oh yeah, this is one of the giants. Put this over here too. I'm gonna start putting certain books to a side because I don't need to stop going through these books. It's gonna be cold all week, so I'll probably spend a lot of time reading some of these books, writing my notes down. Man, let me tell you something. It's going to be a nice journey with me. You know what I mean? It's so much to teach. You know, there's a lot that people don't know. A lot. You teach about Christ and God, and so many people hear about it so much. A lot of times it's stuck in their head, and they just one way. You have to bring stuff from everywhere and bring it all and tie it in. You know what I mean? You got to talk about the giants. You got to talk about God's pets, Heavan and Leviathan. You know, the sea creature where they get Godzilla, King Kong from. You know what I mean? You got to talk about things like Superman, you know what I'm saying, who's supposed to be Christ, but he's really Lucifer. How all that stuff, you know, how all these Hollywood movies tie in with the Bible. You know, where you get Jack and the Beanstalk from. This giant, feed 5 4 thumb, put the beans in the tree, go up to heaven, and you grow up in the clouds and you see all these giants. And they want to eat you. Yes, giant was eating people. It tell you that in the book of Jasher. They was eating people. The giants. They was eating mankind. Chewing their head off, drinking their blood. So when you see all these cartoons and all these Disney's, Harry Potter with spells and all this stuff ties in with the Bible. So a lot of stuff you got to teach. You got to make it interesting. When you teach about God, you know what I'm saying, you have to make it interesting. Learn how to teach. You know what I mean? Tie it all back up to Christ. You know what I mean? God being the head. You know what I'm saying? But give people something different. You know, you go to church every week and you sitting up there and you want to talk about Paul. You know, Paul is great. Great man. He did his thing. It's a lot out there that people's not teaching. And I see, so all these books, you know, that's what I'm saying. When the guy tell me to not teach, I got too much knowledge to not teach. You know what I mean? Like, you're not teaching it. You don't have the books. Can't teach what you don't have. The New World Order. What's the New World Order? I should tell you that. Right here. Your charity is really Christ. The Eucharist is really Christ. I read this in jail. Start getting bored. It's a nice book. And I didn't see nothing that wasn't out scripture, but you know, it's not biblical. It's I can write a book. I can write a book, which I start writing. I can start writing the book and say a couple of Bible quotes in it and give you my opinion. You know what I mean? Do I make it scriptures? No. What do we have here? What do we have here? The Encyclopedia of the North, the Encyclopedia of the Ancient Giants and North America. I tried to get this book in jail, and now I couldn't get it. But it's showing you about about things that giants was really here. They showing you pictures, things. You know what I'm saying? That giants was really here. You know. Uh, it got different things in here. Yes, the North American giants. This is something that I wanted to read when I was in jail because I had the time, and I really need to get back to it. But it tells you, how they was in Indiana, how they was in Illinois. You know what I mean? Things in that nature. Now, what do this say? The Pockets of Paul. Now this is the original book that I bought, which I paid like $1,500 for. And I got the book, and I'm like, okay, cool. The Pockets of Paul. And when I got it, can you see this? Let me see something. What do you see? I can't read it. It's in French. I don't know. The book is in French. The book is in French. Can't read it. Why I had to buy the blue one? I still got it. I ain't letting it go. We already talked about this, yeah. Fallen Angels. Dictionary of the Angels. Got a lot of more stuff in there too. We know what this is. Original Bible. King James. All the books in there. How the Bible used to look back in the day. Oh, this thing heavy. This is a complete Bible. If you haven't ever seen a complete Bible, this is a complete Bible and it's heavy. I'm talking about heavy. 3 of these here you can't even pick up. This thing got to weigh about 10 pounds. Real talk, 10 pounds. This is a complete Bible. King James 1611. All right. And when you first open it, it's telling you, showing you some things and how to go with like genealogies and all that stuff. It's a lot of, it goes a long way, telling you about the number of days and different things. It's the original Bible though, man. Like, it takes some getting used to reading because, like I said, it's not that's a regular Bible with English, I don't know what this is. I don't remember buying this. I probably got this one out of jail. The Library of Distinctive Sermons or whatever. You better know this right here. Nature knows no color. I don't care who you is. He tells you that when you read Esdras, second Esdras and Baruch. Say God, and when you read Enoch, he don't care who you are, what color you are. If you follow the rules, then you good. If you're not good. Nature knows no color. This one here is, which I would, I need to crazy glue this back together, man. But yeah, this here tells you about God's name being a higher. When you read what's the name, but this called the manual. It's called the Ancient Eastern Manuscript. Ancient Eastern. Do this guy? Okay, so okay, this the whole Bible too. I might start playing with this one here. The second epistle of Paul. Oh, well, hold on. Make sure we got. I don't think they got Revelation. Okay, got Timothy, Hebrews, James, John. Do we got Revelations in it? Okay, got Revelations. Okay, I might start playing with this here. I like this Bible. I might start playing with this. Let me set this here, but it's kind of, you know, my book's been beat up a little bit. I'm gonna have to crazy glue this back together. Somehow I gotta get this going. Of course, I read this whole thing. Pseudographical. It got a lot of all the missing. Well, do it. You got some missing books in there. Fourth Maccabees, the sibling, what you call it, the sibling. Let me see. This one got the book of Adam and Eve in there. You know, man, look at these books, man. Like, look how my book's doing. I don't like that. I don't like that. I need to try to. Oh man. I got some work to do tonight. That's another book I gotta kind of try to get going. I'm sorry. I don't want my books tore up. This here is my book. I went through the whole Bible and you see it's beat up. Because I got many Bibles, this is the Bible that I've been teaching out of. Because it's got precepts. Like, what is a precept? Well, let's say you go to John 3 and 16. It'll tell you, well, what support this scripture, you can go to Genesis 5 and 9. And you go to Genesis 5 and 9 and say, oh yeah, you can go to Exodus 3 and 16. Or whatever, you know what I mean? That's what a precept is. It helps out the scripture that you're talking about. It shows you other places that support that scripture. The researches of the ancient text. This is a big book. I got to kind of look through here, spend some time in it. He gave dominion over the arrangement of the world, and he commissioned, like I said, I got to look and he say, the same person used proof from the first epistle of John and from, okay, so it's just something. It's like a research. They saying like, they giving you like, on certain scriptures, they said they doing research on it and giving you, you know, I guess insights on some of the scriptures that's been taught. Oh wow! Let me see something. The Apocrypha. So they gave me the Book of Enoch. Let me see something. They gave me the Book of Enoch. Look at this here. They say the Apocrypha, the Book of Enoch, the Apocrypha, the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilee, the Gospel of Philip, and the Gospel of Mary. That's really what I was looking for. It said the missing books of the Bible. I don't know about the Gospel of Philip and the Gospel of Mary. I heard some bad things about it. But I know about Jubilees, which should have been bigger than this. Let's just look through a little bit. Sorry about that. And the days when the house has been built, in the name of the Lord. I read the whole Jubilees. I read Enoch. As a matter of fact, let me see something. Let me just make sure. Enoch 22 and 2. So this is the Apocrypha. Let me get to some of this Enoch for a second. I'm almost done, y'all. Chapter 53. I just want to make sure, because I know that's something that I teach out of. So you got 14, so it should be right here. He should, okay. chapter 20. And then I went up to another place and a kind of hard rock, and he was about no hollow bleed, and the rapper, the angel said, "Yep, the soul is yours." Yeah, okay, all right. So you got Jubilee. I might can use this. You got the Apocrypha, you got the Enoch, you got Jubilee. I don't know. Let me just put this on to the side for a second. It's another Bible. See what it say? The name of Higher, and it said where you cross out the Bible and say scriptures, right here. I don't know why my books is doing this here. So I don't like the way they look at my books. But yeah, so what all it does is kind of asset out certain names, and instead of saying Jesus, it say Yeshua, and instead of saying God, Jehovah, Yahweh, it'll tell you Ahia, his name. So use this book too. Showed you this the other day, the Apocrypha you can get for $20. I got a lot of Apocryphas, you see that. This here is the book that I said I got to fix. The one with Adam and Eve. I was actually looking in this one before I got thrown off because my book tore. And you got the Assumption of Moses. You got the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, giving you their story. When you read the Bible, the book of Jasher, it gives you more details on the 12 tribes of Israel. And in this book, they giving you, because they all sin, and it's giving you they version of, when they was in sin. You got the story of Pike Akbab. You got 4th Maccabees. You got 4th Esdras. You got 1st, 2nd Baruch. 3rd Baruch is when the angels told Michael, we don't want to be under them. You got the Secrets of Enoch. That's book Enoch 2. Which got some good things in there, but you need to know the Bible before you read it, because it'll throw you off. Of course, you got the original Enoch in here. And you got the book of Adam and Eve, which we talked about. The book of Jubilees. You got what's the name of that? You got it's called the Sibylline Orchis, which is supposed to be some women women prophesying. I read that. You got the Assumption of Moses. You got the Psalms of Solomon. You got the Maccabees. You got the Fragment of Zadok work. What else I'm looking for? The Letter of Artistic. Now that's a good one too. So, you got the Martin of Isaiah too, which I need to read more of Isaiah. But that's the pseudographical. This is what I had when I was in jail. And you see I got the hard copy, but it's already told, and I haven't even been messing with it. So these books are hard to come back, cost a lot of money. What is this here? The Tisdale Bible, which was out before the 1611 King James Bible. So you got the Tisdale Bible too, which, I believe. Oh, let me see something. What year that say? 1530. Yeah, 1530. The Tisdale Bible. So, of the Old Testament. So you can read a lot of stuff, and you can read the New Testament. But let me see how far this Old Testament goes, because I don't think it's the whole. I think it's just the first 5 books of Moses. Oh no. Okay. We might be eating around here, B. Okay, so the prophet Jonas. Okay, so what I've been noticing, a lot of this stuff kind of dies out, even with the Tisdale Bible. with Chronicles, with Second Chronicles. Like when I even seen the other book that the Holy Scriptures, they kind of ended out with Second Chronicles. We kind of know at the Chronicles. I think you start dealing with Esther, Job. I think that's before Chronicles. Let me see something. Look at the index. But yeah, you get, I like, okay, so you got the first book of Moses called Genesis. Okay, the third, okay, whatever. I know that. You got the book of Joshua, Judges, Ruth, Samuel, Kings. Okay, right, as I figure. Okay, so yeah. So this kind of before you dealing with Job and Esther. Because once you start getting that, after you, Job, Esther, and all that, then you start going to the prophets. So this kind of, the Old Testament up to Second Chronicles before the prophets. Josephus. Josephus is a historian, and what he does, he kind of give you insights on a lot of things. He was there, you know what I'm saying? Like when the sun stood still, stuff like that. He'll be someone that probably would have reported that. But a lot of historians goes to, it's like fact checks. Like if you want to see if some shoes real, you go on fact checks, or if you want to see a review, you might go online and you might check in something dealing with that subject on the reviews, and see how many stars he got, or that's what Josephus is. He's a fact checker for back in the day. So people go to him and be like, well, Josephus say different. He say this, like his word is valid 100%. I'm not going to say 100, 96, 97%. He's kind of, he's one of them historians that, if he says good, it's good. And I believe in Josephus. It says something about when the flood came with Noah, that Og held on until the ship and hid in a cave, when dealing with the flood with Noah. So like I said, this here is a book that I have to read. It's called the From the Death of Isaac to the Essences of Egypt. So I want to kind of look into this. But Iniquities of the Jews is what it's called. Iniquities of the Jews. And like I said, okay, let me see. After what manner the procedure of Noah sent out colonies and inhabit the whole earth. So it's telling you how every nation was denominated from their first habitation. So after you read, let me tell you something concerning the flood, and after what manner Noah was saved in the ark with his kindred, and afterwards dealt in the land, in the plain and the Shinar. I need to start reading this here. Man, I'm supposed to be reading it concerning the prosperity of Adam and the 10 generations from him to the deadliest to the flood. Let me look over here. Let me put something. I'm gonna put this Josephus. I'm supposed to be read Josephus. I had an order. I'm supposed to read the Bible, read Enoch, read Jubilees, read Jasher, and then Josephus. I never got to Josephus. I read all the other ones. I couldn't get to Josephus. I really need, what I'm saying? I got like 6 books that I showed you that I just need to get out the way. You know what I mean? So it's going to be cold outside, and Josephus is kind of a pretty hefty book. But the more you read, the more knowledge you get, So, it's the Bible's more than just God and Christ and Satan. It's way more than that. Way more, you know what I mean? This here is a Bible dictionary. All right? Bible dictionary, which they stole mine when I was locked up. Talking about the hardcover. So they stole my book. What's this say? Evidence of the Bible. But the Bible ain't real. That don't happen. That didn't happen. Yeah. We got evidence of everything in there. Everything the Bible talk about, they showing you, you know what I'm saying, things in here that, the Bible spoke of. It's called Evidence of the Bible. Oh yeah, I got some books, man. That's what I'm saying. I definitely got some books. Okay. Cambridge Study Apocrypha. You know, Cambridge is a college that kind of have all our records, all the biblical type records. Cambridge got that. And here, this is another one, The Wisdom of Egypt. Now, I know the other one I showed you, The Wisdom of Egypt. This here, I ain't even opened yet. Still got the plastic on it because I got the other one. But this here is like a bigger dictionary like. And now, that was really, I think, my last book. What do this say? This here was I was in prison, right? So I wrote that from the front and to the back. This is the New Testament. And you can look all through here. You know, all through here. And I just got, well, I don't know, you know. I just, you know, Matthew 9:27. You know, I might, you know what? I might can use these for my notes. Matthew 12, a tree and its fruit. Matthew, the demand for a sign from the scribe and Pharisees. Look at this here. Old chip off the old block, huh? Right here in my face. And I wrote everything down to where it'd be easy for me. I wrote this in jail. So I wrote the Bible. Come on, man. What are we talking about, man? Who ain't fit to teach? Or who shouldn't be teaching? Like, come on, man. Miss me with this, gang. Miss me. Yeah, wrote the Bible. Had nothing to do. Sitting in my cell 24/7. Give me a Bible. Give me some paper. 3 of them. Let's write it. Come on, man. Make it make sense. Luke, parable, and come on, man. This how I learned most of the Bible. Writing it. You see it? Come on, man. What are you talking about, man? Make it make sense. John 10:22, Feast of the Dedication. It's telling you about Christ did the Feast of the Dedication, one of his holy days. Come on, man. Bad boy, that boy. What are we talking about, man? Yeah. So when you tell me something about going to a scripture, I can pretty much tell you what it is. Let me see. Let's go. I'm glad I ran across this. Yeah. Sent it home from jail. You know. Let's do this here. John. Like I was talking about, man, hand hurt. And guess what? The pencils they give you is this big. Not no big pencil, it's this big. So your hand hurt. Yes, sir. Let me look up this thing real quick. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's crazy. Who ain't fit to teach? And I don't know. I'm not gonna say fit to teach, but who need permission to teach? Really? Come on, man. What are we talking about? So I'm at John 3:31. Should be right here. The most famous scripture in the Bible is what? John 3:16. This is John 4:4. John, Christ loved Judea and returned to Galilee. I'm talking about. I read the whole thing in John 3:22. The witness of the Baptist. Wrote the whole Bible. Is you serious? Are you serious? Stop talking to me, for real. John 13. I like this. Front and back page too, gang. Front and back page. Really? Alright, y'all, look. So, yeah, I'm going to have to look through a little bit of this later. But I want to say, let me go John 7:24 to where it tells you, it says that 7:24 say, judge not by appearance, but righteous judgments. And I'm going to start, I might get my highlighter and start playing here. It's 19. John 7:20-32. Appearance, but judgment. Justly. Right here it is, right here. So it tells you, yeah. John 7:24. Stop judging by appearance, but judge justly. Now guess what? You know what's crazy? This here that I wrote the Bible. Was out the Catholic Bible, Catholic, because that's what they gave you when you went to like a Edomite jail. They deal with the Catholic. So I didn't have a Christian Bible until I got to. I had a Christian Bible until I got to prison. So I was reading out the Catholic Bible. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah, but you didn't I just show you the Catholic certificate? What we talking about, man? It all ties up. Somewhere around here, but y'all think it. Okay. I don't know, man. Well, I don't know. Now look, outside that, right? I had another one too. It's a blue book. What's in here? I don't know what this is. What that say? Jasher. Wrote the whole book of Jasher. The whole book. The whole book. The whole book. I'm over here because when you deal with Jasher, the last book of Jasher is Joshua. The people sent the Lord and let me see something. The Mennonites. When you do a Jasher, it tells you about Moses was a king. Moses called, okay, and then you dealt with Joshua. Joshua. Yeah, Joshua. Yeah. Zeppo, when you're dealing with Zeppo, the whole book of Jasher. Again, I teach because I like teaching, but y'all see my journey. A lot of these books, I've been through these books. I read, I scanned over it. I took notes. I wrote the book of Jasher. I read the whole book of Jubilees. I read the first, second, third, Enoch, the Giants, the Nephilim, the Catholic Bible. I wrote the Bible, got certificates, won awards. A lot of people are only reading the Bible, and they're not even reading the Old Testament. They're only reading the New Testament, and they're out there preaching. Excuse me. And you'll go to church on a Sunday, and you'll sit there, and you'll dig into some Old Testament, but mostly New. They don't go into the Old Testament. You need to know everything. Everything. Don't tell me half anything. Don't tell me that, your wife is a good woman. She's a saved Christian. You'll have a beautiful life. And then I get with her, knew her, and found out she done killed 3 of her ex-husbands. You know what I mean? No, tell me everything. Let me decide. You know what I mean? In so many words. Well, I've been on for a while. You understand? been on for a while, and right now I'm just gonna pretty much let y'all go. But so when I'm doing these teaching, and you be like, you listening to me, and you be like, you know, where you getting this from? I just showed you. I showed you where I'm getting a lot of this information from. You know what I mean? Knowledge is in reading. You know what I mean? Educate yourself. You know, get under somebody who, and I'm saying I know everything. Again, you know, I got more books that I'm still waiting on, like 6, 7 more books. You know what I mean? But you know, this is kind of what, you know, you want me to start teaching, and I got all this before me. You know what I mean? You make it make sense. You know what I mean? Like all this information that I'm reading and that I'm gathering, you know, why don't I want, you know what I mean, to spread this, you know, to other people? You know what I mean? Like, what good is for me to have? And it's like the guy with the 10 talents. You know, Christ gave one guy 10 talents, the other one 3, the other one 1. Told him flip it. The guy with 10 flipped it to 20. The guy with 3 flipped it to 5. The guy with 1 kept it and hid it in the ground. Christ said you could have gave that to bro with the 10 talents, and he would have flipped it. But instead, you kept it. You could have put it in the bank, and I could have got interest on it. You didn't even do that. You kept it. You didn't do nothing with it. I give you a talent, do something with it. In so many words, when Christ give you a talent, take that talent. And everybody, I'm telling you something. Everybody has a talent. I don't care what it is. Everybody was born with at least 1 talent. If you haven't figured it out yet, that's you. But everybody was born with at least 1 talent. Some people have more than 1. I'm a guy with more than 1 talent. I'm more of a guy with close to 10 talents. More than 5 for sure. Verified. You know. But, you know, everybody was born with certain talents. So you got to take your talent and you got to flip it. You got to take it and use it for the Lord. Not for you. For the Lord. But, you know, until then, you know, I want y'all to stay tuned. Everybody like my video. Even if you watch 2 minutes of it or whatever, like my video. You know, subscribe. And again, if I'll be done with this last lesson, you know, I'm a pocket for Paul. If you want me to teach about a certain lesson or a certain subject, tell me. And I'll teach a sermon on it. You know what I mean? Let me know. Until then, I'm out. So I'm just showing you that I have the book. I have read the book. Because a lot of people do Sunday worship. What day you worship?
What day I worship?
Yeah.
I worship every day.
The people of Solomon and Gomorrah had beds erected in the streets of the city. It says in 2:1, it tells you that the angels went before God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Keep the Sabbath
Keep holy
day
the Sabbath.
holy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a commandment. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwelling. And the 14th day of the first month is the Lord's Passover. Right? We dealing with Bible.